2, 1. Let's be real. Talking to parents about child development isn't always rainbows and finger paint. Whether it's celebrating progress or raising concerns, directors and teachers need to know how to keep it honest, keep it helpful, and human. If you've ever thought about how do I even bring this up, this episode is for you. Today on the Childcare Director's Chair podcast with your host, Erica Saccoccio, we're going to team up with child development pro Dr. Jamie Lewis for real, raw conversations about helping parents understand their child's developmental milestones. From daily check-ins to those tougher, we need to talk moments, we're breaking it down on how to keep families in the loop, how to support your teachers, and how to build a center-wide vibe that says, we've got your back. We're talking milestone tips that actually work, classroom strategies that won't add to your to-do list, and what to say when things get hard. It's a guide you don't need for, it's a guide that you do need for one of the most important parts of your job. And so today, I'm super excited to welcome Dr. Jamie Lewis to the show. She is a sweetheart. She is extremely talented. I had the pleasure of meeting her at our conference a couple weeks ago. And I'm so happy to bring her here to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. So welcome to the show, Dr. Jamie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell folks a little bit about yourself and how you came to the field of ECE.
So my name is Dr. Jamie Lewis. I'm a mother of two beautiful children. I own two childcare facilities in New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been in childcare for about 18 years now, and I've been an owner of my centers for 6.5 years. I have about 13 to 25 employees, depending on what their enrollment is, and the time of year, of course. I am a entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, because childcare isn't the only thing that I do. I am a childcare coach and a childcare consultant, and I go all over the states to coach and consult with childcare owners and inspiring childcare owners. I am also an author. I have a ebook, A New Horizon for childcare owners opening centers in Louisiana, which is something, it's a very good starter kit for someone in Louisiana trying to open a center, and not just Louisiana, because those same steps that we use in Louisiana, I'm sure you use in other states as well. So that is a little bit about myself, and thank you so much, Erica, for having me.
Of course, of course. So I know you speak on a variety of topics, and this is a topic when we start to talk about milestones, one that I haven't covered on the show, which I thought when we talked, I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't talked about that, and it's so important. So let's talk about maybe what do you find are the biggest mistakes that directors might make when talking with parents about milestones, and maybe how can they fix it?
So the biggest mistake that directors can make when talking about developmental milestones is not being educated themselves. So you can't tell a parent your concerns if you're not educated, right? So I am also a trainer. So I train my staff and other people on different topics. And just speaking from experience, like when you are in tune with your child, you notice different things that they're doing or that they're not doing when you're around other kids as well, right? So my baby is 10, and she was born with developmental delays. Like, and I had to, because I was already in childcare, I kind of knew the different things that she should have been doing that she wasn't doing. So then I reached out before the teachers even said anything, because I was at home with her for 6 months, just strictly she and I. And I reached out to her doctor. I'm like, hey, she's not doing this and she's not doing that. So as she got a little bit older, I noticed, okay, well, she's not doing this and she's not doing that. So by me being in the industry, I knew the things to look for. And because I did have those some trainings. I was able to use the trainings that I did have and then the education for myself. So, long story short, she's 10. She was diagnosed with ADHD, which is something that is going like abroad right now. It's like every child that you would see, every other child has some type of developmental delay, but you can't identify it if you do not have those resources. So I would encourage every director, every child care provider to educate themselves on um, mental health and those triggers or those red flags before going to a parent, because parents don't really want to hear that something is going on with their child, right? So then my now he's 4. He was born with um, serious delays. He had to have like every single therapist you can think of: speech therapy, feeding therapy, physical therapy, like just every therapist that I seen was available. I'm like, yep, we need to go ahead and get him. So we have a program called Early Steps from 6 weeks to 2 year olds. And they have to qualify in so many domains to actually get services. And I reach out, like I have these people on speed dial because
Mhm.
the parents don't know where to go, right? And because I am the provider and I am very involved, I sit back and I observe just as for myself. And then my teachers observe because I do train my teachers and show my directors and managers, what to look
Mhm.
for. Um, so it definitely starts with education. Like you have to be educated. You have to, first off, you have to love what you do. You have to love working with kids, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think too, like you had said, educate your team, which I totally agree. I think too, educating the parents and maybe before they even need those resources, like in a parent newsletter, like make that part of your regular monthly newsletter, like maybe a developmental tip or blogs or different things like that that you can incorporate, especially like we all have social media for our
Mhm.
programs, right? Maybe you have a monthly blog that, tells you, 10 things to look for in infant development or 5 ways to help your toddler with XYZ. So that way they're getting information before you even have to have those tough conversations because you don't want to go from no information to like immediately like, hey, red flag, right? Because that's when people start to get a little
Yeah.
bit like, hey, wait, what do you mean? Like, this is the first I'm hearing of it. So,
Yeah.
um,
So for my program, um, doing intake, we do assessment. So once the children are enrolled, the teachers have 10 to 15 days to do an assessment
mhm.
so that the teacher can see exactly where the child is developmentally, right? Because then we would know how to individualize their lesson plans and individualize any learning aspect. And if we have any issues, that's where we would have a parent teacher conference and we will have this conversation with the parents. And it's not just something that we're going off of, our minds and saying. This is an assessment. This is paperwork. This is something that you can actually see. And what I
Mm,
do is I allow my teachers to do one and I allow the parents to do one. So then they can compare. So they're not
mm.
just coming in blindsided.
I think when you're doing tours as well, um, to really be transparent with families and say, we are here to support your family, your child,
Hmm.
and ask them if they have any concerns. And some parents will tell you right away, and others
Some
might not
parents
because
will.
they're yeah, some parents will. They'll be, very honest and say, I feel like when I go to the playground, he doesn't interact with peers, or I notice she doesn't do the same things that her cousin does at the same age. So sorry, I'm getting over a cold. I would say some parents are really transparent and they will let you know, but others have it on their radar, but don't tell you because they're afraid you're not gonna like take their child. It's already hard enough to find a spot and a program. So, I think starting right that conversation right at day one at
Yeah.
the tour and say, these are the resources we offer. Are there any causes of concern or anything that you see right away? Because we all know that the sooner that your child gets services, if they need them, the better, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So how do you,
That's
go
very
ahead?
true. So a lot of parents, I don't. A lot of parents, they tend to hide it, but they don't really know what they're hiding because they don't really know what's going
Mm,
on.
yeah.
So so it depends. Like depending on the situation and the circumstances. Like, okay, hey, bring the kid in. We can all have a tour. He gets to meet us. We get to meet him, and then we can see if this is a good fit, right? But then you have the others like, well, I don't really want to bring him because I just want to do the tour myself. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
encourage them, no, bring him because then we need to know if if he likes it or not. And truth be told, when they come in, they bring the kids to tour, the child never wants to leave. But
Yeah.
we don't really see those milestones or those developmental milestones um, during the tour all the time because the child may be the only child,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they act differently at home versus when they're in a center amongst
Yeah.
7 other kids. And then
Yeah.
they have to share, so
Yeah.
then we have the behavior issues that comes in.
Yeah. And so, also, there's milestones. There's also the positive side, and it's so hard for a parent to leave their child in childcare, because let's face it, we all would love to spend as much time as we can with our children, but we have to work. So, trying to capture all those great nuggets too, a child sitting up for the first time, or crawling, or rolling over, or tying the shoe, or zippering that coat, right? It's so
Mm-hmm.
important to share the positives too, because it's so easy to get hyper focused on what we need to do to support a child, that we have to really make sure that we're also celebrating all the strengths that that child has too.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to another question. How do you keep milestone conversations real without scaring parents or making them get defensive? Because we know that can happen a lot.
So becoming defensive is a um, protective mechanism, you know? Oh, I'm going to get offensive, or I'm going to be, verbal or belligerent because I don't want the truth. And we're not doctors. We're not medical doctors. So we can't
Hmm.
diagnose a child. We can only tell you what we've learned, what we've observed, and what the assessment said. Now, I'm not sure how it is in other states, but in Louisiana, when you take your child to
Hmm.
the doctor is doing the developmental assessment as well.
Yeah.
So the doctor can see it. And then some doctors may not see it because they may not do those assessments. But if the school is doing it, they
Hmm.
can bring that assessment and say, hey, I had a conversation with my child's teacher, and this is what she's telling me. I don't see
Hmm.
everything, but I may see something, right? Or I don't see anything, and I think they're picking on my child. Can you assess and tell me? And then, there is well, unfortunately, this is delayed for this particular age. Um, so I'm big on just partnerships and
Hmm.
communication. So I
Yeah.
make it very easy to have those conversations. And I tell my teachers all the time, I don't have a problem having those conversations because I build relationships. And building relationships is the key to anything, right? So if I don't have a relationship with you and then I'm coming to tell you something negative about your child, you're not going to accept that.
Hmm.
So I'm like, hey, mom, what's going on, girl? What did you do today? How was your day? Several days until, I mean, not until, but, once we know what's really going on,
Yeah.
hey, mom, when you get a second, I need to talk to you in the office. You know,
Hmm.
how's your day? Do you have any concerns? How's the teachers? How's the center? They'll give me their feedback and I'll say, you know what? I have this assessment that we did, and we're noticing that Ava is not combining her words, right? Um, I want to, let's go. It's more of those one, want, two. Well, what do you want? Where are you trying to go? And I would give different examples, and depending on what the situation is, I'll call the child in
Hmm.
so that we can do this in front of mom. so that
Yeah.
mom can actually see what we're talking about. Because she may not do it at home. Because truthfully, when children are
Sure.
having speech delays, the parents automatically know what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that's not a milestone developmental delay, right? For the parent. But if the child is with anyone else, that person needs to understand what the child is saying.
Yeah, and maybe too giving strategies to families when we give them this information and say, okay, here's where we're at. Here are some things you can do at home to help support your child's development. Here are the things we're going to do at school, like you had said, partnership. Let's circle back in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Let's see with us both implementing these strategies if we can move the needle forward. And
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes that will happen, right? We know sometimes with speeches there's an underlying condition, like maybe they're not hearing well. We have a little boy who had a significant hearing loss and had to have a medical device put in. So sometimes we can move the needle forward with some strategies and techniques, and other times we need a greater intervention. But I think when we
Yeah.
give when we give that news like, hey, this could be something, give some tips and strategies, and then follow up, right? Because sometimes we don't
Mm-hmm.
always
So I
follow up
think
or follow through. Yeah.
about 75% of the speech delay is
Mm-hmm.
recurrent ear infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they can simply get a 2-minute surgery procedure of getting tubes put in their ears, which would release the fluid, and you will see speech improve almost 90%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And
strategies, resources, partnerships,
yeah.
consistency. So for us, for my centers, I actually have a hearing and speech company that comes out every year to do testing, free of charge to the parents, testing so
Yeah.
that they can know, if their child is hearing correctly or if their child can speak correctly. But, speech and hearing goes hand in hand. I can't speak if I can't hear.
Yeah. In
Hmm.
Rhode Island, the school department comes out. They have a program called Vows, and they come out and they test all of our 3 and 4 year olds prior to going into to kindergarten, and then early intervention will do our younger population.
Hmm.
So let's talk about when it gets tough, the tough stuff. Like, how do you break the news when a child clearly has a delay?
Ah, it's hard, but I do that. I don't allow my teachers to break the news.
Hmm.
I want to break the news so that I can personally work with the parent, so that I
Yeah.
can set up these resources and I can set up the appointments and then I can follow up and push them, because some parents may need just a push. Once you get the information, they're just sitting on the information, right? But then we have parents that do not have reliable transportation that can't get to wherever they need to go. So then that's where I come in again. I'm going to Uber you where you need to go, or just bring the baby to school and I'll have those resources meet the
Somebody come
child
in.
here. Hmm.
Yeah.
So, being that it's a difficult situation, I still want to support in any way that I can. So, I do what I can. I try to get the resources to come to the child instead of the child going to the resource.
Yeah. I feel like too when that happens, because the child's so comfortable in our environment that they're every day,
Hmm.
you have a more realistic like idea and able to see like how the child really interacts, because when you bring a child to a new environment, they sometimes will not act the way that they normally act, right?
Yeah, of course. Of
All
course.
of us, grown-ups too, right? You
Yeah.
go in a new room and you're really quiet when you normally are a chatterbox, right? So
Yeah.
I think that and then too, I think when the specialists can see the environment that the child's in every day, they can also support the center and say, hey, I think these 3 or 4 things I noticed either in the schedule or the way that you're teaching could be improved by, this for little Johnny. So yeah, I think, again, like you said, going back to those partnerships.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go to this part because we all know we've dealt with this. How do you handle it when parents are just not hearing it? Denial, shutdown, pushback.
So, I guess it's a two part. answer,
Hmm.
right? Because we have the subsidy program. We have a subsidy program. We have a federal program. Um, and to be on those programs, parents have to be in agreement to
Hmm.
receive whatever resource is given, right? So you signed when you signed up for this program, you knew what came with it. And truthfully, some people could sign up for the program because it's free and they can't afford the outside
Hmm.
cost. So when you're on programs like that, you're almost forced to do whatever you need to do. And then if you do not get the resources and the help that has been suggested for the child, then we're looking at, what is it? Child neglect,
Yeah.
right? So I don't throw that out to parents, but I do push like, hey, this is something we have to do. We don't have a choice. We are mandate reporters. We have these resources. We have assessed. We know what's going on. Now it's your responsibility to get this child what this child needs. So just imagine driving your car with no gas. How far are you going to get?
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
too another way that you could do it is you can say, Miss Jones, I understand that this is hard information to hear. Why don't you do this? You trust me as a professional, right? That's why your child is here. If you feel like you need a second opinion, why don't we do this? Make your appointment with your doctor, your pediatrician, your whoever. Bring me back their assessment, a documentation that says, no, this is not what we're seeing or whatever. And
Hmm.
then you can go from there, because sometimes that little extra help or support from someone else saying, no, we're seeing this too, can really be that thing that just kind of helps them get over, like, oh, okay, now I've got two professionals, an education
Hmm.
professional and a medical professional telling
Hmm.
me, like, this is not quite where it needs to be.
Yeah, but then we
So,
have those parents that don't follow up either. So then we have to say, listen, this is what it is. We have
mm-hmm.
to get this done. We've made these suggestions a few times and
Yep.
you still have not done it. So now,
Timelines.
yep, yep.
Yeah, timelines. Um, so how can directors bring families together so parents feel like they're not alone?
So we do family nights. We do family nights where I would close down a certain venue and I will invite everyone from both locations and even people that's on our wait list so that it can be a very open and welcoming community.
Mm,
It's strictly New Horizon Learning Academy families. Um, and the kids get to play in a safe area because then the teachers are still on duty. So the teachers are still
mhm,
working. But then I'm networking and talking to other parents and bringing other parents to meet this parent and say, hey, I think you may connect with this person because this person is X, Y, and Z. So we do like community events as well. I do speaking engagements so that they can know that it's not just you or it's not
yeah,
just this particular child. This is something that's going on worldwide. So don't feel like your
yeah,
child having a developmental delay or milestone is something bad. Because truth be told, the children that have those milestone delays are the most brilliant kids ever.
mm,
They're smart. They have their superpowers, right?
yeah,
So I don't want anyone to ever think that because their child have a delay that something is really, really wrong. They have a delay. Let's fix it. Let's get those resources. Let's get those trainings. And because then I'm training the parents too. Because
yeah,
this is what we're doing at school and it seems to be working. So you have to do this at home so that we all can be on the same page and be consistent.
yeah. I think parents do sometimes feel like they take it personally a little bit. Obviously, we all love our children, but I also think that they sometimes think maybe they have failed as a parent, and
Nope.
sometimes yeah, but that's a real thing. Like, oh,
There's
did I
no
not read to my
handbook.
child enough?
No,
Yeah,
there's no handbook to be a parent.
yeah.
Every
Oh God.
day, every day, we're learning something different. Our
Yeah,
children are learning something different. So all we have to do is implement what we're learning. So parents are not failures because their child is delayed. We
Yeah.
just have to work a little bit harder so that we can get that child where that child needs to be age appropriately.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Jamie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with all the folks here. If people want to learn more from you, where
Hmm.
can they connect with you and find you?
So I'm on social media. Instagram is SheEO. That's SHEEO underscore of childcare. And my New Horizon Learning Academy's Instagram page is NHLA underscore LA. And they can email me. They can connect with me through collaboration, right? They reach out. I'm open and willing to answer any question that you guys may have. You want me to come to a center and do training? You want me to be a guest speaker? I am available.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Child Care Directors Chair podcast. If today's conversation helped you feel more confident, more connected, or even just a little less alone in the work that you do, you're exactly why we do this. We've set a small but mighty goal this week, and we're aiming to grow our Instagram community to just 3,000 followers, which is not a lot. And the reason I think it's so important is because directors and owners, we need to reach more of you, support you, give you resources, real talk conversations, and we can bring that to the field. So let's be honest, this work can feel very lonely, and sometimes it does, but it doesn't have to be. So if you're not already following us, head on over to CCDC Podcast. Again, that's CCDC Podcast on Instagram. Give us a follow and share it with a fellow childcare director or owner who needs this kind of support. Thank you as always. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Ta-da! Thank you so much.